Hello, everyone. It is a special and last Impact Implosion on this January 6th, 2019. I am Seth Drake, and on the other end is the Survivor Dummies to my Gail Kim, Mr. Mike Poland.
For the last time.
For the last time. We believe it will be for the last time, sadly.
Yep. We'll get into why as we go through the show.
Yeah. It may be the last time. We may come back. Who knows? Because now Impact is on Twitch, live streaming on Twitch too. The big problem.
We may come back. We may not. It depends.
Yeah, the big problem's going to be like we now reveal Fridays.
Yeah. Yep.
Fridays
and scheduling on Fridays.
So yeah. So that's the only news that we can talk about. So let's talk about the pay-per-view that...
Guys, I know I don't normally talk on this, but have you considered, just watching it on Fridays or whatever? Because you can get Twitch on anything, a cell phone, and then,
It more depends on whether we're both home.
Yeah. I know we can get Twitch
Friday,
on phone, but...
I'll be at a show, so I won't be here.
Yeah, and sometimes in those, the cell signal, I got you.
By the way, folks, if you've never heard that, that's our CW, our producer for this. So that's the last show. Good time for you to make an appearance. But so let's start off the show with the cold opening that we saw at the end of Impact last week, and it's a good opener, as I said during that whole other thing. It was a good closer.
Yes.
It's a good, well-produced video.
Yes.
So we got and it's the old Ultimate X, fit as the old Ultimate X cage, without the little top on it.
And Don Callis puts over that he was the one who created this match, which he was.
Yeah.
So he's not really someone taking credit for something he didn't do.
And this Ultimate X match, it was pretty good.
Yep.
There were some crazy spots, not too much. Trey seemed to be wearing one of those cheap crowns.
They didn't do too much because they were only in the open.
Yeah. Oh, Ethan Page freaking threw Trey Miguel on a Rich Swann and Jake Chris. He just threw him on them. He just threw him to them. And they just fell. It was an interesting spot. Then we had Jake Crest in his Spider-Man vest. And Jake Crest tombstone pile driving Rich Swann onto the floor. But of course, at the end, it was Rich Swann and Trey Miguel going for the belt, with Rich Swann having a huge lead, and Rich Swann wins.
Yep. He is a new X Division champion.
As I predicted.
Yep.
Then we saw Don Callis with a cowboy hat on that doesn't fit.
He says, I try to fit in with the culture.
Yeah. That hat don't fit. And then Josh's mic started cutting in and out.
Well, that's one for Botchamania.
Yeah, and then Brian Cage looks like he might have shaved. He's not as gruffy as he used to be.
He's a clean-shaven Wolverine, if that makes any sense.
And then I sacrificed the birth of my daughter, which you posted on Twitter you were at. I sacrificed my wife to the gods. As soon as he said that, I was like, did you sacrifice your wife to the gods? And then all this for this title shot. So the next match is probably the worst match. Jordynne Grace and Kiera Hogan versus Su Yung and Allie.
Yeah, this match is basically to set up the angle after it.
Yeah, just it wasn't good. Jordynne Grace shows some of her power with the power bomb on Allie and body slamming of Su Yung. Allie red mist Jordynne, and she's out of the way. She's gone for the rest of the match. And what happens after? Kiera Hogan gets a code breaker. Allie asks for the glove from Sue, and she mandible claws Kiera for the win.
Yep.
Then they start beating on Kiera and call for the coffin, which has somebody in it. Oh, it's Rosemary. Rosemary's back.
It took forever setting this up.
Yeah, Sue and Allie are shocked. Rosemary gets beat up a few bridesmaids. Then Sue tries to attack Rosemary. Rosemary throws her into the undead's bridesmaids as if it was undead bowling.
And bowling for the undead.
Yep. And then Rosemary was all alone with Allie. She tries to pat Allie in the head, but Allie runs before she can.
Oh, that's what this is going to turn into, isn't it?
Yeah. So, Moose versus Eddie Edwards. False count anywhere. Moose with a sick power bomb into the apron.
Couple of them.
Yeah, a couple of them. I think the first one was not exactly well planned, so he did a second one. And they went on the outside.
Yeah. The fans.
And oh dear God, if you know this show is going to be in this building and you know the lights aren't the best, don't expose that your lights aren't the best.
Oh.
Dear God, there were moments in this match where you couldn't see shit. And so Moose brings them back in. By the way, nobody, for a false count anywhere match, nobody pinned or tried to submit anyone on the outside at all.
I think Moose did early on.
I don't think he did, but crowd chants for Moose throws in chairs. Missed one, had to throw it back in. Crowd chants for more chairs.
Yep.
And then Eddie starts bleeding at some point, and Moose doesn't help this by biting at his wound.
Yeah.
Then Eddie superplexes Moose onto a pile of chairs, but unfortunately both men hit the chairs at the same time.
Or did Moose superplex Eddie on the chairs?
No, Eddie suplexed Moose onto the chairs. Superplex.
He who sets up the spot must take the spot.
Yep. Then chop fest between the two. Even Moose went as far as to take one of his gloves off to continue the chop fest.
And then what? Eddie puts away Moose and gets the kendo stick.
Moose takes the back body dropped onto the position flat guardrail.
And Eddie gets his kendo stick.
Then gets his kendo stick, and Don Callis, of course, says that may be the most dangerous Kenny in the business.
Maybe.
Yeah, you're still mad at Kenny for losing, aren't you? Omega for losing.
And
Eddie,
apparently he's also left New Japan.
Yeah, he's gone. And so is Kushida. Eddie goes to hit Moose with the kendo stick, but Alicia stops him only to hit Moose with the kendo stick.
She wailed on him.
Yeah. Eddie hit DDT's Moose for the win. Wrong guy won here.
I mean, it's the triumphant babyface, but yes, Moose, you would have benefited more from Moose winning, considering their champion's a face.
Yeah.
And your top two guys underneath him are faces.
Yeah.
You would have benefited more from Moose winning.
Yeah, you would have. But Sami Callihan promo, he issues a warning to Willie Mack, says he will be made an example of why everyone should stay out of his way. It was a good promo. And Willie Mack versus Sami Callihan is next. Callihan immediately hits a V-trigger after a few minutes. And Cal's called it that.
Yep.
Stunner. 1, 2. Sami gets his foot on the ropes. This Death Valley driver off the top rope by Sami onto Moose. Willie kicks out at 1.
Oh, Willie.
Willie, yeah. Willie kicks out Sami, onto Willie. Willie kicks out at 1. Then there were a few other spots, and ultimately Sami hits the pile driver for the win.
Yep.
This was a good match.
Middle of the card, but it's a buffer in between.
It was a good story.
Two hardcore matches. Yep.
Good story.
Yep.
And then we see Eli Drake in a blindfold.
Wearing a blindfold.
Somebody saw Bird Box.
I've heard a lot about that. I haven't seen it yet.
It's okay. So, Eli Drake versus Abyss. Monsters Ball is next. So, Abyss comes out and is immediately turning his back to do his pose. Eli Drake, there's a trash can, trash lids, a staple gun, and some other weapons in the ring. Eli Drake decides to elbow him.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm like, all these other weapons here, and you just elbow him.
Yay, Eli. Because he's the dummy tonight.
So Abyss sets up these two tables, not next to each other. And of course, actually Abyss does not go through these tables. Eli does, as Abyss belly.
There's one of them and goes through the second.
Yeah, he goes through the second and his head bounces off the first. This is why you put the tables back to back. Just in case this shit happens. Yeah. So, Abyss grabs his tacks, of course.
Dumps them out. And the ref takes one in the eye.
I know. Eli Drake actually does something interesting. He actually scoots some of the taxes into his hand, tries to throw him at Abyss, but no, the ref gets it in the eye. And of course, to clean this out, the ref needs water.
And while that happens, Abyss hits the black hole slam on the tax, I do believe.
Yeah, but the Abyss not on the tax. Abyss just hits a black hole slam. And ref can't see, so he can't count the pin. Then Eli grabs a chair, but Abyss has Janice. And I'm like, where's Patty? I gotta wait. So eventually, after all that, Eli eventually gets chokeslammed onto the tax.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, oh, shit, yeah. And Eli kicks out at 2 after that. All of that. Then,
Eli gets zip ties for some reason.
Eli actually first grabs some of the tacks, heaps them upon Abyss's face. So, yes, Eli Drake has found the new thing. Grab some tacks. It may hurt, but throw them at people. Go, Mr. Fuji.
Well, that's not salt.
Yeah, that's not so. Grab tacks, throw him at the guy, then hit him in the back with a chair, and try to zip tie his hands, which they break pretty quickly. Then hit Abyss with the chair 20 times, but Abyss will still kick out.
And then wear him out with the oar.
Then finally find Patty, and hit Abyss in the head a few times, and get the pin.
Surprising finish. I thought Abyss would have gotten a happy moment.
Abyss was winning too.
Yep.
I actually was happy with this finish. Also, while Corbin was leaving, I saw a sign that said, "This is also Corbin's fault."
Yeah.
Yes. So Killer Cross interview saying Johnny and him are two sides of the same coin. Johnny uses excuses for his things, while he doesn't. He says, "Tonight we won't be talking about option C. We'll be talking about option X, option cross."
Oh boy.
And then
More on that later.
I think the Survivor winner and one of his pals, Nick Wilson, the winner, and Davey Rickenbacker, one of the other guys on Survivor, they're there to support Johnny Impact. More on those two fucks later.
Yep.
Next
and
match.
Here comes your match of the night next.
The tag title match, and holy crap, this is fun. And immediately, and I mean immediately, they're pretty quickly, they do a powerbomb double foot stomp combo. The Lucha Brothers do.
This was a spot fest.
This was a spot fest and a fun one. And they kicked out of that 2 spot, which really nobody believed that was the finish. It should have not been done that early. So then we got some other finishes, like while Santana was pinning Phoenix, freaking Pentagon Jr. jumps onto Santana's back, uses as a stepping stone, and hits Ortiz. Oh no, I think it might have been it was Ortiz on Phoenix. Pentagon Jr. uses Ortiz as a stepping stone, and hits a Canadian Destroyer on freaking Santana. That was a crazy spot. What the?
Yep.
Then we get a spot where there's a spike Fear Factor. Ortiz stops the 3, and then we have a Street Sweeper which Phoenix stops the pin. This was crazy. Yep. Just more crazy shit. Or LAX actually wins with an inverted facebuster combo. And Nope, I didn't expect that to be the finish, but a great match.
When you hit everything else.
Yeah, fine. If you've hit everything else. So Conan comes out. We're all expecting a turn at this point, but no. Conan says that he's happy everyone was able to keep professional and personal feelings separate. He said this was a great match, and hugs all around.
Yeah.
So then Gail Kim's got to cut an interview, talk about how Tessa's bad attitude is bad for the business, but she will call this match down the middle.
We'll see about that.
And that's the next match, which not a good idea to be following that crazy match with this knockout title match.
Yeah, but unfortunately, where else were you going to put it?
I know. I think you should have probably finished off with that.
You should have probably had this one second in the women's tag in the semi-main spot. Hello?
Oh, I'm here, Sil. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I was listening to something. Taya comes out wearing something.
Well, okay.
Yeah, like, I think she said, asked what color should I wear, and Johnny says, I don't care. So Taya wore them all.
I got a main event to worry about. I don't give a fuck what you wear.
Yeah, so she wore every color in the book for this messy gear. So then Gail decides to try to call it down the middle, but immediately Gail gets hit accidentally, although Ty doesn't seem to mind. I mean, Tessa doesn't seem to mind. Tessa hits a buzzsaw DDT, and you see Gail looking over at this pin attempt, but not doing anything. And then she finally starts and gets to 2. You would be legit pissed, because she sees this. You see that she sees this happen.
She's not doing anything.
She's not doing anything, and then eventually does the pin count. And she does this again after she inadvertently nails Taya with the belt, because she was aiming for Tessa.
Oh, that was the one where she was, like, begrudgingly counting.
Yeah, no, and she waited for a second and then begrudgingly counted. And it was slow. And Taya kicked out. Then Tessa gets pissed at Gail, starts shoving her. Gail shoves her back. Taya hits a roll-up, and Gail tries a fast count like fuck.
Yep.
So finally, after all of this bullshit, Gail finally decides she's had enough of Tessa's had enough of Gail. She goes to hit Gail, but Gail stops her and hits her finisher, which was not needed, and then Taya hits her finisher for the win. Taya wins the belt. My opinion on this match was fuck it. Fuck that finish. You made this all about Gail when she ain't even wrestling.
There's no payoff unless she's coming back.
And then, the commentators are wrestling defend Gail, saying Tessa pushed her too far.
Or she could have maintained composure.
Or she could have maintained composure, not use her finisher.
Just
anything else.
You could have just knocked her on her button or pushed her into the Taya's finish.
Yeah, but no, she had to use her own finisher, and then Taya gets her finisher for the win. Then we get the big announcement
everybody.
That Impact will be simulcast on Twitch. They want 15,000 subscribers, which, by the way, if you subscribe, it's $5 per subscriber. So they want 15,000 subscribers by March.
Good luck with that.
Good luck with that, yeah. So Johnny Impact interview backstage. Johnny says he and Brian aren't friends. Talks about how, hey, last time we and us were in the ring, you tried to hit me. I was like, you tried to hit him too. Yep. Both were accidental. So Johnny says he's a fighting champ and says tonight is Cage's chance. It's Cage's shot. And Impact also said Cage is more of a freak than him at training. Admits, to get his body, I got a good body, but he's got a better one than me. I'll be on it.
And then he says, I'm going to win this with heart, and that's the end of the promo.
So Cage comes out in probably one of the most rinky-dink Terminator costumes ever. Now, before anyone says, hey, this is this is TNA, they're not, or Impact, they're not going to get WWE Productions. They didn't get New Japan Productions. Kenny King looked more legit impressive with his Kenny Omega. Sorry, not Kenny King. Kenny Omega looked more impressive. Yeah, Kenny Omega looked more impressive in his Terminator outfit, which happened a few years ago. So,
match was good. Finish was not.
Oh, God. Let's talk about this match. There was a discus clothesline for a 2 count.
Also,
Brian Cage.
I wanted to mention this, that I noticed there were some noticeable boos for both guys during the introductions.
Yeah, it was a split crowd.
Yep.
Starship Pain, and that was a kick out. He kicked out of Starship Pain. Then there was a Spanish fly off the top rope, and Cage kicked out at 1.
Yep.
Then we had Weapon X, Cage hitting Impact Weapon X, but Impact barely got his foot on the ropes, which I guess counts. Then Cage goes on the outside, and these dumbasses from Survivor get involved.
Yep.
They get involved. And meanwhile, in the ring, Cage has hit his finisher, hit the drill claw. But the ref is trying to get these two dumbasses to not interfere. So Cage has the match won. Cage has the champ pinned. 1, 2, 3. Ref is still on the outside. Ref finally sees the pin happening, gets in the ring. 1, 2, kick out. And then the finish.
Delayed vertical superplex botch.
Delayed vertical superplex botch, which 1, 2, and it seems Cage kicks out, but the ref hits 3, and yes, Cage retains. I mean, no, Impact retains.
Yeah.
What the fuck was that?
In very Impact fashion, they end a good pay-per-view with a shitty finish to the main event.
So Cage grabs the title, tosses it at Johnny's knees, says and leaves. You wonder if he's leaving this company.
Maybe.
He is pissed. So Taya comes out. They celebrate as the new champion Power Cup, and the fans are not happy with it.
And then Impact is about to leave.
Killer Cross comes out,
about to go off.
attacks both them, and Taya tries to attack Killer Cross, but Killer Cross power bombs her into the crowd.
Why would you do that?
And the show went off the air with the fans chanting "Kill Cross Kill." Yes, they are chanting for their top heel.
Yeah. Impact Wrestling, everybody, on our last show.
On our last show ever, we are ending this with some bullshit.
Yes.
So that's it. I gave this show a C. I was going to give it a B until that fuck finish, and that's on Impact. I'm sorry, it's on you guys. You botched.
Yes, it's a good show. It's probably about a B or a C to me as well. I would probably knock a few points off for all the Gail Kim involvement in the women's title match too.
Yeah, I was willing to give it a B despite that.
Yeah.
Despite Gail Kim's involvement, but that
she did a little too much to get involved for something that's not going to have a payoff because she's retired.
Yeah, she's not. It's not really going to mean anything. Gail's basically done. She could get a little involved, but not hit her finisher.
No.
Yeah, the finish spot. Hit the finisher. Don't hit the finisher. Maybe push her
into the road to Valhalla.
Yeah, Taya, push her. Taya grabs Tessa's arms, hits the road to Valhalla. Gail counts the pin.
Yes, that's all you need to do.
All you need to do, and Gail being like, shit, I got involved. But no, Gail raises her hand and looks happy as hell what she did out there. Called it down the middle, people.
No, you got involved numerous times.
Yes, and you hit your finisher. You hit Eat Defeat. What are we supposed to think? You're a good guy?
Nope.
No, not at all. Impact. You really wound me with this ending, man. You wound me.
Yes.
So this is still going to be the final Impact implosion.
For now.
For a while. We may come back, we may not.
Yes. Depends on how long this Pursuit deal lasts.
Pursuit, yeah, Friday at 10. There's going to be a lot of issues. I might catch it on Twitch, but I'm not going to live tweet it. I'm not going to talk about it on this show. And sadly, that's a
wrap.
Implosion. We did, after everything we've done, freaking Claire Lynch. Aces and eights.
Samuel Shaw.
Sam Shaw being a pervy guy.
The final deletion.
All the Matt Hart, Broken Hardy stuff. Bigfoot.
TNA versus GFW.
The Sheer Shuffle.
Grado. The
Bromance. The whatever that team was that Baron Dax and that other guy were called.
The Tribunal.
The Tribunal. Al Snow. Disco Inferno. Desi Hit Squad. Turkey suits galore.
And this is how we end.
After all that insane shit. we're going to end with, it's fine, but they still got to impact it. They still got to be stupid. Oh, Alberto Lamierda.
Alberto, Austin Aries.
Austin Aries, yeah. Aries bullshit.
People leaving.
Yeah, people leaving, people coming and going. Loki's...
Dixie Carter and Billy Corgan in that never-ending saga.
Oh, yeah. Heel Dixie Carter.
Dixie
Bully
gets put
Ray.
through a table.
Yeah, Bully Ray putting her through a table.
We could go on all night. But we we don't want to.
No, but it is.
We hope you've enjoyed the last almost 7 years of this.
Well, 6.5 years of this. With that being said, do you have anything to sell?
I do. Limitless Wrestling presents Snake Bitten this Friday night in Westbrook, featuring the main event of JT Dunn and MJF versus the team of Ace Romero and Anthony Green, collectively known as Take Me Home Tonight. And yes, they do come up to the song.
Take me home tonight. Da, 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 da.
Ashley Vox versus Chris Statlander in a unsanctioned match, and much more.
And I am still right now doing the Gino Award voting.
Keep me updated on all those, because I want to see some of those.
I'm gonna right now reveal the nominees as the poll is still open.
All right.
20.
Do you have a link to all your writing, by the way, so I can check that out?
Yeah, I do have a link. I can send it to you on Skype. Yeah.
Okay.
Here are the nominees. Here are the nominees. 2036 Origin Unknown. Katie Sackhoff argues with the computer and inadvertently causes the apocalypse. There, I just saved you 90 minutes of wasted time for a movie that ended way longer than it should have.
Sounds like it could have been like a free TV, made for TV movie that went 1 hour.
Yeah. No, it went 30 minutes. It went 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Demon Within, a movie that has all the complete checklist of shit I hate movies. Uninspired acting, check. Bad CGI, check. Pointless child death, check. Kid gets crucified. A point where the movie could end but keeps going, check. Boring pacing, check. Try to stay awake if you have the misfortune of ever seeing it. A Wrinkle in Time, a complete mess by Disney that was doomed as soon as they hired a director who was best at making real-life dramas instead of big-budget fantasies. Despite what defenders tried to say about this film at the time, this was a mess that could not be taken seriously in any way. Day of the Dead Bloodline, another attempt to remake Day of the Dead. The zombie apocalypse has occurred, and the zombie that could be our salvation, as being a zombie, he may have the cure in his blood, has just one problem. You see, before he became a zombie, our main character was stalked by this guy and he tried to rape her. Yeah, that will go well. I'm not kidding on that. Deep Blue Sea 2. 9 years after the original Deep Blue Sea became a cult classic thanks to a decent cast, filmmakers decided a sequel was in order. But instead of getting a good cast that could save a badly CGI mess of a film, like the first one, we get a cast that couldn't be bothered to be interesting if their life depended on it. Dominion, The Last Star Warrior. The cover of this movie may say that it's going to be a giant space battle, but don't be fooled, that never appears in this movie. Much like Battle for Skyark in 2016, this whole movie takes place on a desert. However, unlike Battle for Skyark, this movie is even cheaper and was made in 2015, but released this year. And despite Boo Boo Stewart being the first name on the marquee, he has 5 to 10 minutes in the film.
Who's Boo Boo Stewart?
I think one of the guys from Twilight Saga.
Oh.
Ken, this movie tried to tell us that this was about a kid and his found space gun. But that only amounts to a small portion of the film. Instead, we have a story about that same kid being led around by his older brother for a road trip, which is really them running away from gangsters because the older brother is a complete fuck-up.
What a recipe for a movie that is.
Slender Man. Years after the Slender Man meme became old and a horrible incident happened because some kids believe in him, someone decided...
Slender Man?
What?
What's Slender Man?
Slender Man was a creepy pasta about a creature that was in the woods that would take you away and stuff.
Oh.
And it's a man in a suit with no face. Tall man in a suit. So basically, someone decided it was time to make this a horror movie based on the character, and you may need plenty of caffeine as this movie is a bore to get through, as well as completely not understanding much about Slender Man at all. The Cloverfield Paradox. Released after the Super Bowl, with Netflix got time on to tell us that on that day, yeah, this movie exists. So yeah, after the Super Bowl ends, this movie's coming out. This movie, by all means, tries to be its own film, which it originally was, while through clunky ways makes Cloverfield and 10 Cloverfield Lane be connected to this. The ultimate result was a film that was exactly earning of being just dumped on Netflix with just a few hours of hype. Darkest Minds. It's another movie that tries to be the next young adult novel adaptation phenomenon. And like many of them, completely falls at its ass and bombs to the point that there will not be a sequel, despite the sequel bait at the end. Kids get powers for some unknown reason, and adults are afraid of them. Once again, you can tell someone thought this would be a good idea, realized how wrong they were, hit it for a while, then just dumped it on theaters and hoped no one would criticize how bad it was. The Happy Time Murders.
Oh boy.
Happy Time Murders seemed like a great idea when it was first conceived and had been known in 2008. However, this pre-production was troubled with studio changes, cast changes, and eventually ending up with Melissa McCarthy, who, while can be a good actress, if allowed to not be a parody of herself, but if she is nominated or anywhere near Monster Crap, you know that didn't happen. And also that she was able to write portions of her character, like Ghostbusters. Sadly, this film eventually lost a lot of the humor and interesting idea that made this a good idea 10 years before. The Lotus. In a year where we had some good zombie movies, we had more of the same shit zombie movies too. The Lotus continues that trend with some of the worst acting I have seen in a long time. Of course, this was also a film made in 2015 and sat on the shelf, so that it could be dropped on DVD in 2018. Sadly, like some other movies, there isn't a single actor in this movie I have ever heard of. In fact, there are also aliens in this movie. Don't ask me what they do because besides the movie being shit, I couldn't even be bothered to remember the ending. The Lullaby, a South African horror film that is so boring I needed 2 cans of sodas to stay awake for this shit. Terrible acting,
boring pictures. Sean Mullins on the soundtrack.
Unlikable characters and bad CGI ruin an idea of a mother going through an issue many mothers go through in some sadness after giving birth because of hormones and estrogen getting a little mixed up. After giving birth, some real horror in this situation. But like I said, nobody is likable, and rape is just something that happens in this movie. I would like to add that this is also directed by the guy who directed Dracula 3000.
Oh boy.
The Manor. Despite Kevin Nash being on the cover of this film, he leaves halfway through the film. Also, he is a hippie priest who has an Illuminati necklace. And somehow, we miss him because he is the most likable character in this movie. About a family where one of the kids is out of a mental institution, and 3 brothers on a hunting trip, both getting to spend a weekend at parts of an old manor for some reason. Then there is this demon who starts killing people, or is it? It's complete nonsense as they're serving the nomination. The Nun. A ghost from the second Conjuring movie gets her own movie because we knew to have an origin to this character too. Just like someone decided we needed to have an origin to that Annabelle doll from the first Conjuring movie. While unlike Annabelle, which got the director of Mortal Kombat 2 involved, this one actually got a promising director in the guy who did The Hollow a few years ago. But sadly, when you make a movie to do the same old nonsense by studios that are more concerned with cinematic universes than making a good film, there isn't really a chance this movie will turn out well. The Nutcracker in the Four Realms. Disney gets 2 nominees for this year's Geno, if it wasn't for Marvel Studios and Pixar, Disney would have lost a lot of money by misjudging the market and thinking an epic Nutcracker movie would work. Well, I'm sure it isn't as bad as a Nutcracker with rat Nazis in them. Seriously. It is so forgettable that I'm sure you would have been better off just playing all the Nutcracker music instead. Yep. Yep. The Trump prophecy.
Oh, Jesus.
I know exactly what people are going to tell me with this nominee. You are going to go after me for getting political, and honestly, I hate this as a nominee myself. Regardless of my personal opinion of the man, I don't find political humor that funny a whole lot of the time, which is why I avoid it a lot. However, I know people who have seen this movie and given me pictures that have CGI demons in it. I am not kidding. I've seen the proof. It's not even talking about the insane idea that this film says is true, which is a man saying in 2011 that the man that would save the world as president is Donald Trump. Sadly, this movie was in theaters. Thanks a lot, Fathom Events. And with everything said, it is getting this nomination spot, which I would have given to Joe
Trump is not
Dobbs.
the president to save the world. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Truth or Dare. Of all the movies were in theaters this year, Truth or Dare was the worst. A movie that somehow bastardized the party game with hateable characters, terrible CGI filters that morphed people's faces that were bad, terrible script writing, an ass-backwards plot, and one of the most fuck you endings this year. Sometimes
Holy shit, I think I remember seeing this movie advertised.
Yeah, sometimes Blumhouse can make good movies, and sometimes they can make complete garbage like this. Winchester. It is such a shame that Spirit Brothers, who would direct movies like Daybreakers, Undead, and I forget what else they did something else, would ruin their good film reputation by making this complete stinker of a haunted house film. The actors tried, but with a bad script, bad reveals, and bad insinuations that ghosts can somehow cause devastating earthquakes. It is based in the San Francisco area in 1906, so you could figure out what I mean. I can only guess you might find this film rather insulting than scared. And the last one, Woody Woodpecker.
What?
Oh, hey, you remember that annoying cartoon bird that people would say might be more insane than that bird that talks about Cocoa Puffs? Well, he is still hugely popular in South America. So with a completely English-speaking crew, they released this movie in 2017 down there and sadly up here the next year. Basic formula of Woody wanting to save his own forest from an asshole who wants to build an investment home in the area, while also dealing with two guys who want to hunt for Woody for money since he is a species of woodpecker that was thought to be extinct. It is not as bad as some of the others on this list, but when you have a joke where Woody Woodpecker poops on a guy's ice cream who eats it,
Jesus.
I kind of have to nominate you.
Oh, God.
And that is all the 20 nominees this year.
I have one more thing to plug.
Go ahead.
And that is that earlier tonight, before the pay-per-view, myself and Rowan Onrow got together and we did Angry Marks Rewind, where we covered Survivor Series 92, which we were supposed to do a couple months ago, but there were some issues that I'm probably not supposed to go into on here, but and we covered that, and we talked about Kenny Omega possibly going to WWE, and we talked about the Priscilla Kelly situation, which I don't know if you've heard about that yet.
Oh, God, I've heard about that. By the way, people, if you talk about the dignity of pro wrestling, there is none. This is a company, this is a business that has had children chokeslamming grown men, people getting shit on, corpse fucking, monster truck sumo race wrestling.
Men getting shoved off roofs and coming back an hour later.
Bloodbaths, which, by the way...
People fighting in graveyards.
I know, seriously. People being buried alive.
Yep, and our next show that we'll be covering in the next week or two will be appropriate for the show we just covered, because we're going back in the TNA archives for Hard Justice 2008.
Was that the Hardcore Justice show?
No, that was the next year.
Okay.
2008 is Angle and AJ in a last man standing match. Joe and Booker in a cage. Rhino and Christian against 3D in a street fight. The Black Tie Brawl with Jay Lethal and Dutt. And LAX and Beer Money and Petey
So
Williams
this
and
is their version of WWE Extreme Rules and WCW Uncensored, where every match has got a gimmick.
Any of those combined.
Which every match's got a gimmick.
Well, most of them.
Yeah.
Yes, and we're going to cover that in, I think, a week or two. So be on the lookout for not only Survivor Series 92, but that one in the coming weeks.
So with that all being said, I thank you for all the 6 years we have done this, nearly more than 6 years we have done this show. And for one last time, for a while, this ain't goodbye, this is merely just so long for now. Miley, we are heading to bed.
Good night, everybody.